So frequently asked question. Let's try to find out whether you need to develop a product and not test it. Of course, you can release the product without testing, but let's see what could be the consequences after the release of such a product. First of all, nobody can be sure of the quality of such a product. By skipping the testing process, you can release the product not only with critical errors, but also without checking the quality of the process and the development result. The customer relies entirely on the opinion of the developer. It's not enough. Second, software testing helps to identify the contradictions between the implemented product and the business requirements to this product before release. It can reduce the development cost. Without testing, the customer can't get enough information about product quality. If the QA team isn't involved in the development process, then after the release, it may turn out that the developers made a good product, but not the one that users and business owners actually need. My subjective opinion is that you can't make a successful release without testing. My subjective opinion is that you can't make a successful release without testing. Without testing, bugs appear in the final product version that customers use. And in this case, not the tester will report errors, but real users who will look at the product and form an opinion of it. In any way, these bugs will be fixed, but the cost of fixing such bugs will be higher, and the customer's reputation in the eyes of the clients is lower. As a result, the release of a product without testing increases the development cost and make the business unsafe, spoil the reputation of the customer, and there is no control of the development process. Testing process covers the whole development cycle. It includes designing, planning, execution, and creation of the test cases. There are different concepts in the testing area, like quality assurance, quality control, and testing. Quality assurance is a broader concept. Quality assurance specialists can create and implement strategies to improve product quality at all stages of development, like preparation and writing of documentation standards, a quality analysis, a testing plan, choosing tools and environments for testing, etc. Quality control is a quality control process, and it's only part of the development of QA. When implementing quality control, a specialist checks specific product, analyzes the code, analyzes the design, performs testing. An important part of quality assurance is the testing process. The tester checks how the software operates and whether the software meets the established requirements. Testing is one of the main processes. The tester checks the product or its part, prepares bug reports after finding bugs, and can also prevent the appearance of these errors, bugs in the software. Testing is also a broad concept. In turn, testers can be divided by directions. The main responsibility of the tester can be evaluation of the time that will be spent on testing. These tasks aren't performed by juniors. Also, development of test scripts, test design, writing checklists, software testing, putting on bugs into a tracking system, discussion of correction with all participants in the development, tracking the fixing process and testing the system again after fixing the bugs, perform regression testing, analysis of test results, finalization of test scripts. This isn't the whole list of duties and responsibility of QA engineer. Depending on the project and the qualification of the specialist, this list may be shortened or enlarged. This is a very interesting question. Let's first look at what manual testing is and how it is used in software development. Usually, a tester who performs manual testing is involved at the start of software development. QA engineer tests the product and new features so the customer gets an idea of the quality of the product. QA engineer prepares test cases and performs regression testing of the product according to these test cases. When writing test cases, the tester puts himself in the user's shoes and describes possible scenario of user behavior. A tester can perform such types of testing as usability testing, drawing attention to checking the usability of the program. In addition, you can perform ad hoc testing. This is a one-time test which may cover not all the functionality of the program, but only part of it. The tester doesn't follow certain rules, but uses all possible means and methods to detect bugs. They try to guess where and how to find mistakes. There are different types of projects where only manual or automated testing is used. There are projects where both are used. Before choosing which type of testing it is advisable to use on a particular project, you need to calculate the pros and cons, as well as which type of testing is more profitable. There are many programming frameworks and languages that help automate frequently repeated activities. When regression testing takes a lot of time during software development, which requires high labor and time expenses if you perform these steps manually. In this case, it's advisable to use automated testing and save team time and do not delay the development process. After creating automated tests, you can run them at any time and execute them accurately and quickly. If it's necessary to run tests often and quickly, it's more advisable to use automation to simplify software development and reduce costs. There are several types of automation testing. Code testing automation of graphical user interface, API testing automation. To write automated tests, the tester must be able to write a program. Automated tests are complete programs just designed for testing. On real projects, both manual and automated testing are used. There is no saying that a developer can test a product. When developing projects, some teams just don't have a tester. But let's see why the developer himself can't test the product. When writing code, the developer, like the testers, check the program. He primarily performs unit tests. After he wrote the code, he checks to see if it really works. Unit tests are a type of unit testing that checks if part of the code is working correctly. But besides this, you need to check not only how this functionality works, but you also need to test its interaction with the rest of the program and how the implementation has affected the overall operation of the software. Typically, a team can have many developers and each of them is engaged in its own piece of software and doesn't know how the program works in general, which can complicate testing if the tests are performed by the developers. The developer can't critically evaluate the program's work without prejudice. He will be positive when checking his work and they will focus on not on finding problems, but on successful script execution. A tester is a third party who doesn't know the code and how the programs are written and evaluate the work of the program from the end user. In the development process, each employee has their own tasks and there are deadlines you should meet in order to carry out a successful release. So it's very important to do your work on time and in a quality manner. If the developer, in addition to his work, will test the product, he will not be able to complete his work quickly, which may slow down the development process and delay the release date. This can adversely affect the product development process, increase the cost and terms of software development. It's a known fact that a tester can be part of development team, and then they will work as an in-house team, having their own team with the necessary skill in software testing. Let's start by looking at the benefit of such a team. First of all, the staff tester understands the peculiarity of the business, understands the goal and undercurrents, quickly responds to changes in processes. He is aware of all the news in the team. Also, the development team gains independence from external constructors. Clear communication: an in-house team will be more likely to have a similar cultural, social background, which simplifies communications. Disadvantages of such team: it's necessary to independently search for a good specialist. The search of such a specialist is quite difficult and expensive task. Also, the likelihood that the dismissal of such an employee may slow down the development process. An independent amount of time can go to search for a specialist. In case of downtime and insufficient loading of a specialist, the company will be forced to pay for downtime. Another option is an independent testing provider, outsourcing. If the company seeks to optimize resources, costs, it is advisable to delegate testing to an independent provider and focus on key business tasks. This approach has also advantages and disadvantages. The benefit of such team is reducing the time to search for a tester. Engaging an independent software provider, you pay only for those resources that you need to the project. Having concluded a contract with an external contractor, the company makes the development process more formalized. Plus, tasks and deadlines are regulated by the contract. Disadvantages of such team is difficulties in understanding. An external team will develop the product in accordance with the agreed specifications. So the company must be sure that all parties equally understand the task and accept its criteria of the performed tasks. Also, difficulties with maintaining the system. If a company outsources the development of a strategically important product, it must ensure that all supporting documentation is prepared and submitted appropriately. Both in-house and outsourcing have advantages and disadvantages. The choice of the best option is always individual and depends on the goals, objectives, and resources of the particular company. Everyone knows that now technology is being implemented in all areas of activity. Testing is no exception. I think that the use of artificial intelligence in testing is an inevitable development process. It's no secret that part of the processes in testing is a routine process that we are trying to automate. Artificial intelligence like automation can speed up the testing process. I previously told you about automation and manual testing. Let's now consider how artificial intelligence can help with testing. Using artificial intelligence, you can speed up the testing process. You can perform thousands of test cases in a few minutes. Artificial intelligence can notice minor errors and shortcomings and changes that are added or removed from the software. Bots will be able to find all added changes and pay attention to every little thing. At the moment, there are developments of artificial intelligence that have begun their functional trainings. Training and testing the performance of thousands and hundreds of the most diverse large applications and products on the market. There is also an artificial intelligence-based toolkit that can be used to help the tester improve the testing process. We will be able to see the use of artificial intelligence in a large number of areas of testing. Of course, many of them related to reports and analytics, such as log analytics, identification of unique test cases that require manual and automated testing, test suite optimization, detection and elimination of redundant useless test cases, ensuring coverage of testing requirements, predictions of key parameters and specifics of use behavior, as well as determining areas of the application that are worth focusing on. Bugs analysis, identification of areas of the software product and bugs that are associated with business risk. This is not to say that artificial intelligence will replace automated or manual testing. A human being is always smarter than any programmed machine. Junior manual tester doesn't have to know programming languages. The web QA engineer should be able to use the developer console in the browser, at least work with elements on the page and network requests. But if you have basic knowledge of any programming languages, this of course will be a plus. Also, in case of working with page elements, the tester must understand how to localize them or, if necessary, change them, and in case of network interaction, be able to understand the sequence of requests and received responses. Ideally, you need to know various HTTP methods like GET, POST, options, and others. Know the response codes, be able to read the headers and bodies of the answers. In order of the tester to better understand what modern web pages are made of and how they are structured, it will be extremely useful to have at least a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This knowledge will also help localize errors associated with specific elements on the page, quickly find them, and if necessary, change them on the client side. It's also important for the tester to know and be able to work with the database management system, primarily with SQL. And the most sought after is knowledge of SQL. Very often in the job description there is mention of this skill, which all sounds like knowledge of SQL at the level of simple queries. If you want to be engaged in automated testing, knowledge of programming languages is the #1 requirement. At the moment, there are many programming languages, but you need to choose the most suitable language for you. I can only present a list of popular languages in the context of testing, such as Python, Java, PHP, JavaScript. Some people find it easier to find trendy Python with dynamic typing, while others find it easier to use hard-typed and structured Java with static typing. It's important to try and understand whether it's yours or not. I think that the most important quality of a tester, like any other specialist, is to love his work and enjoy the work he does. If a person doesn't like it, then what he does and it's not motivated, then the work will be boring and routine. When a person has an interest in work and motivation, he will be able to perform the same work on any project with any technology. He will have the strength and desire to learn new technology and understand and learn a new project. A tester who has a passion for work can investigate all sorts of problems, find the cause of the bugs that have occurred. He has a desire for continuous improvement over himself. Second, it's the desire for self-development. This quality must be possessed by both a junior tester and an experienced specialist. Testing covers different areas of activity, use different technology and tools. If you are an experienced tester and you have a lot of experience behind you, this doesn't mean that you know everything and you won't need to learn. Each project is unique, where they use their own development tools and methodologies when connecting to a new project. The tester, like any other specialist, need to understand and study the project, and if a person is used to developing, he will not have any problem when he encounters new technology or unfamiliar software. Also, testers should be curious and suspicious at the same time. When these qualities are present, it's faster and easier for a tester to find bugs. He will investigate all the possible behaviors of the program and users when testing software. If we initially suspect that when testing an application or software, we will definitely find some problems. We carefully study each element of the task at hand, and we can find some inaccuracies even at the state of studying the documentation and the task, and don't believe in the software until carefully don't test it. Otherwise, if we start testing without suspicious, the result in this case will be opposite. We can find much fewer errors or even miss some important functionality that wasn't implemented or wasn't described in the documentation or tasks. Also, an important quality for a tester is sociability. The tester works in a team. Depending on the project, he can communicate with the developers, project manager, product owner, technical support team, business analysts, and many other specialists. When testing a product, you may encounter different types of problems or inaccuracies. These problems will need to be addressed, and sociability can contribute to the speed of problem solving. Improve the testing process, eliminate misunderstandings of the problem, etc. Both manual and automated tester can be juniors, middle, or senior. Let's consider tester development options. The first option is to grow in the field of quality assurance due to hierarchy that is go into a project or team management. Each testing segment has its own level that determines the level of specialist, junior, middle, and senior. The head of the tester can be test lead or team lead, depending on the specific of the company. Some projects may also have a separate head of QA department. The second option is to grow as a specialist and pump your hard skill. And in the future, thanks for them, you can choose the most interesting direction. The tester can work as an auto tester to test usability, security, or performance. Some testers can combine several types of testing. To choose a narrower direction, you need decent programming languages and other technical background. In small company where not many testers, one specialist can be responsible for several types of testing. It can perform load testing and automate it. Another way to develop a tester is to retain into a related specialty. It's often considered that it's very easy to enter IT in testing, and it's much easier to switch to another direction from this profession. Therefore, sometimes testing specialists decide to try themselves in other IT professions. For example, a tester can master such specialty as a product manager, business analyst, developer, and even a designer. In fact, it's not as simple as it seems. Additional knowledge, a desire to develop, time for training, and job search will be needed.